notes and then I'll call it to Okay, it's 6:02. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Jeremy and Carol are here. We do not have a quorum, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to have a quorum. So we won't be discussing any of the business that's on our agenda for tonight. But you're all here, and if you want to speak up, public body comment, I think that's appropriate.
Carol, the only thing I would suggest is that you better do a survey to see how many board members are here, because now you're not an official meeting, so you could have an OMA concern depending upon how many board members are present. You might want to get their hands and get a survey here.
2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Tom. So we're good, we have 5. I need to adjourn.
You'd have to adjourn your committee meeting because of lack of quorum, and then my thought is if people want to stick around and just chat, converse about this issue, they can do that, or they can leave. You can just have a chat among people. I don't think you have an OMA problem. It doesn't appear to me with 5. 5 was the number, right?
Yes.
Carol?
Yeah.
I don't think you have an OMA problem, so I think you can all be here and
Tim, Teresa,
have a gentlemanly chat if you choose, or you can all go home if you wish.
You want to make a motion to adjourn, or we want to go ahead?
I don't think
I think we have to make a motion.
I don't think we need to make a motion to adjourn because we never started.
Right.
We never started the meeting.
You just declare that there's no quorum present.
Hopefully I won't be written up for this.
I'm sure you will. Somebody will.
Okay, so anybody who wants to stay and chat, you're welcome to chat. You know, I did have a lot of stuff on here.
Carol, is there any way you can call them, see if they're going to come or not?
I know they're not going to be here.
Who are you missing?
Sean, actually we're at a disadvantage because we should have 5 people, but I've never had 5 people since I've been the chairperson. We've had 4, so it's really hard to get a quorum. Most of the time it's 3. I don't know that we've ever had 4 people at a farm meeting since I've been the chairperson.
What 2 are you missing then?
Sean Martz and Heath McCormick.
I think you did reach out to those 2, didn't you?
I did.
Maybe they let you know it was
One
problematic.
of them said probably not, one of them said no. So, Jamie.
So I don't understand why if they're on the farm committee, they're not at a committee meeting. I don't understand why the watchdogs are here if we're not having a meeting. I would think they would have known. And I don't know why we're not discussing farming when no one can stop us from farming. And other counties farm and no one stops them. I don't believe anyone in our community has authority to stop them. I don't think Jeremy has authority. I don't think watchdogs have a legal authority to stop anyone from doing anything. They haven't stopped anyone else. I don't understand why they would pick on us. I think it's pretty well proven in different times that we have 24 other counties farming our farmland. No one stopped them. No one's going to stop us. If you think they will, vote to farm. But we can't vote to farm if your friends won't show up. I mean, if these people are really going to be committee meetings, they're going to be on the committee, they should be here talking about the farm. They shouldn't be someplace else. And if they can't be here, and if they can't attend meetings, we've only had 3 the last 2 or 3 times, then what's the use to schedule a meeting? There isn't any use for Carol to go to the trouble to schedule a meeting if no one will come. So Jeremy, you know, you've never filed a complaint against anyone that I know of. You've talked to about a lot of things. For instance, the health department where they were missing $90,000. I haven't seen you file a complaint. Kirk, I haven't seen you file a complaint against me or anyone else. I mean, how are you going to stop us from farming? You can't tell us because you can't stop us. That's the problem. If you think you can, well, you know, tell us. And I'll be a reasonable person. I'll be glad to listen to your reasoning. I'll listen to your logic. I don't see much logic, but I'll be glad to listen. This has been going on for, you said, 7 years. There's no one paid a fine. No one's been in jail. No one's been accused or proven of anything. We listen to continuous stories of all these people that are doing something wrong. You tried to establish an imaginary story of crime and corruption. The only thing is, you can't find any. There's no one guilty. If there was someone guilty, there would be someone in jail. There would be someone in trouble. I mean, everybody's innocent that I know of. I learned maybe in the 5th grade that everyone's innocent until proven guilty. No one's been proven guilty in Shelby County. I mean, never, ever with these people. I mean, who would they be? Alan Spresser wasn't guilty of anything. They can't stop anyone from farming. They didn't stop us when we farmed before. We farmed the last 2 years and no one stopped us. Jeremy, you didn't try to stop us. Kirk didn't try to stop us. We raised crops. The only reason we didn't raise a crop was because of some soybean crop with some story about a cemetery that was absolutely nothing but presenting misinformation. This farm isn't a 240-acre cemetery. It wasn't last year, it isn't this year, and it probably never will be. I have a title of the farm, and it says nothing about it being a cemetery. I have a copy of the title. So this is our farm, this isn't Kirk's farm, this isn't your farm, this isn't Hal Brooks' farm. This farm belongs to the people of Shelby County, and in case you didn't understand the election, that's the way people feel. They want our farm. They don't want these two people here. We don't need them here. We don't want them here. They've served no purpose. They've gained us nothing. They haven't created one new job. Okay. Anyway, those are my opinions, whether they're facts or fiction.
Carol, I think it would be beneficial to me if those who are opposed to the farming of the farm, what's the current, most recent iteration of the argument against farming? I think it would be helpful for some of us to have some clarity on that. Anybody can give us they won't speak up.
Jeremy said it was illegal, but you can't prove it.
No. And he might sue someone, or someone might be sued. I'll put it right.
I was here at the last meeting, and him and Chef both said, after everything's all done, they said it's illegal to farm. Now, I don't know why they brought it up after they voted on to send it out for bids, you know.
I'm not very good at this stuff.
Jeremy, do you have an idea what the...
I'm just curious on, so you said that there should be 5 people on the farm committee. And since you've been on, there's only been 4. You two, Heath McCormick, Sean Martz. You've never had...
There have been other people too, like when Bobby and Mark resigned, then
But it's
yeah,
only
Dave
been you
Ogden
4.
was-
It's only been 4 people for quite a while now.
when it was Bobby and Mark and me and Dave Ogden and
Mitchell,
maybe it was.
I guess my question is,
Yeah.
there's only been 4 of you now for however long.
Since July.
What does it take to get a 5th person on there? Who makes that decision?
Bobby does, the board chair.
So we need to go to Bobby and ask why and since at least July of last year, we haven't appointed a 5th person on the farm committee instead of having pointless meetings every month when you can't have a quorum. You don't have enough people here. That just wasted all of our evening to show up and you can't even have a meeting.
So we had 4, and then after last month, Mitchell resigned, so we had 3.
Sean was appointed.
Then Sean was appointed, and I've asked for Tim Morris to be appointed since last July, and he's never been appointed.
And he's a farmer, so. he
So
should be
that's-
on
that's
there.
Bobby?
He knows exactly.
That's Bobby that could appoint him if that's,
Yes,
but he chose not to.
right.
Has anybody else on the board come forward and offered to be a part of the farm committee?
Not that I know, but they probably wouldn't ask me, they would probably go to Bobby, so I don't know if anybody has asked or.
The vacancies, we had 5 in town.
So Tom, what do you think? of
When
the-
did
No, we didn't
Mitchell
have
leave?
5 when Mitchell resigned, we had 4.
We had.
I'm sorry, Jake, what'd you say? Oh.
So what do you think of the constitutionality of the new farm law and being able to farm?
Well, that's.
Wait, how long ago did Mitch resign from it?
Last month,
And Sean came on after Mitch?
yes. No, he came on before
Before.
when.
Well, he's not been here that long, so it could only been the last few months because he's not
He
been
was
here.
appointed, I think, in
December?
March. And if we had a meeting in
November?
April,
I
he
can't
didn't
remember
show.
when he.
He didn't show.
Sean was just appointed last month.
Yeah.
Take the answer.
It all runs-
Either way, we need a 5th person
Either
regardless.
way, yes, we need a 5th person.
So obviously Bobby will speak with you. Can you not try to get a 5th person on the farm committee? Or is that up to her?
He should be, I would think he would be speaking with Carol, but I don't know. I don't want to get too heavily involved in discussion. I don't want to have.
No, I understand that. I'm just figuring, I know the next board meeting, we can bring it up when Bobby's here and ask why we haven't appointed a 5th person or found a 5th person.
Tentatively on the agenda for Thursday, but I don't know we won't know until tomorrow if somebody else is appointed.
Okay,
But I have asked.
Yeah, I don't know.
okay.
Jake asked me a question about my thought on the constitutionality of the current statute, which was, I guess, amended in the fall to include farming. And I could answer that, but I appreciate, Jeremy, do you have an idea of what those who might be opposing farming at this point, do you know what their argument is? Before I venture off into too many tangents, I'd be curious to know what the position is of those who oppose it.
I'm hesitant to get too deep into discussion tonight, given potential OMA situations. I would just rather listen if you have something to.
Well, now wait a minute. If you think there's an OMA problem, state it now. Don't trap anybody. Do you think there's an OMA problem having 5 people here in a public discussion, 5 board members? Let's just clarify that issue right now and not leave it up in the air.
No, I'm more interested in what you had to say than anything I might offer.
Well, we don't know how to answer unless we know what the opponents have to say. There's nothing we can say until we
Like,
say.
are we gonna leave here and then
No.
you're gonna go file something against us for
Right.
having a public discussion?
I'd like to know your answer, actually. The answer. I'd like to have an answer to Tom's question.
What the folks thinking about doing?
Somebody needs to give us, I think the majority of people, here's my point, the majority of people think farmland should be farmed, pretty simple question, it's been farmed for decades upon decades upon decades. So those who are opposed to that, which they have a right to have their view, nobody disputes that. Those who are opposed to that, can you indicate what the basis for the opposition is? And we'd like to know.
Can you guys clarify?
His question? Okay.
I have a question,
They just
actually,
wait
a
to write an
couple.
article about it.
So if this is our county, we live here and work here and have our kids and grandchildren here, and, but it is still a business. It's still like a family business. And we have a lot of people in the family that aren't really understanding that. You still have to protect yourself from liability. You still have to pay your bills. You'll still have to, have enough people to keep everything going. If I were going to run a family business with someone who was 100% against what my family business was, I think we'd have to make a change. I believe our family business is looked upon by members of the community. Our county has been looked upon the way it's been managed in March, and I believe they spoke pretty loud. Some of you may not have been up for election yet, but I believe your constituents spoke pretty loud. If I had a business that I was running and I wanted to be successful at, I would put people in the seats in my office and in my trucks and in my boardroom that were 100% go team. And if they weren't, they'd have to go on down the road, and it'd be a choice that's sometimes uncomfortable to make, but it's got to be made. I think that we've gotten to a point where Jeremy doesn't want to answer the question. That's his right. He doesn't have to answer the question. But sometimes you just have to ask a yes or no question. And I'll ask it. Is there any circumstance under which you would not vote to sell a farm? Are you always, regardless of the topic, regardless of the purpose, are you always going to vote no? Because I tend to believe, and I may be wrong, I'd like you to prove me wrong, I tend to believe it wouldn't matter if the good Lord himself came down from above and said, me and the Attorney General have had a little discussion about this, and it's as legal as it can be. I still believe that you vote to sell it. I'm not sure where your motive is, but I find it very disturbing that our county board chair has appointed people to our farm committee other than Carol that don't want to farm our farm. And if that was my business, I'd fire them. And you've got to be well aware that that's what's going to happen. We're not going to put up with it. If you want to keep fighting that battle, you can fight it till the last dog is dead. But be aware, if you do ask everybody in this room if they're for or against. The people that are against farming our farm are pretty darn small, and the majority rules. So if you want to stick to that premise that you're always going to do what somebody from a textbook in 1937 did, and you're going to do this and do that, I want you to say, if you were working for me, we will find a way. I will work my tail off to find a way that suits everybody, that suits what we need, that suits what the grandkids deserve, because this is, it may not be to you. To me, this is just like a family farm. And I'll be damned if you're going to roll over the top of me. And I think everybody in this room, except a couple people, agree with that. So something's going to have to happen, and I don't know what it is, but we are going to be loud. And if you think that it's going to be easy to roll over the top of this large amount of people, you might want to rethink that, because you've got an election coming up in a couple years. Some of you, our chair is one, has an election coming up in November. If you want to still be part of the team, you're going to have to try a little bit harder. Because right now, we're not convinced that you're doing anything to help the farm at all. You're doing it to help yourself, somebody else, I don't know. But I want you on my team. We want you on our team doing what's right for our county farm, because it's a legacy. It's not something that you sell to the highest bidder. It's not something that you give to some God knows what you're going to dream up next. It is something you protect. It's something you show up every season, every week, every day sometimes. And you do the work that it takes to keep it tip-top shape. That's what a legacy farm is about. And if you don't have that feeling, then you all need to step off the farm committee and say, this isn't my gig, I'm not a farmer. Somebody like Tim, he's going to have different thoughts than I am. But you know what, at the end of the day, he's going to vote like I am. He's not going to vote to sell that farm. He's going to do everything he can to farm it. There's other people in this room that farm. They're going to do everything they can. So we need to change our positioning a little bit, because you're outnumbered. I mean, I want to see you say, Jeremy, I will do everything it takes. I don't want to hear another Mitchism about he talked to Mr. Yednock and I found it was in October of last year. I don't want any more of that. I want the truth, and I want you guys to hammer it till you find a solution. Carol's done everything she can to try to make this work. And everybody's just kicking her in the teeth every time. And that's not fair. It's not fair. It's not what we're asking of you. So I'd like, when he asked the question, is us sitting here, we're kind of your bosses in this circumstance. Do you want to be part of us, or do you want to be opposite? We want to know, what is it would you ever agree to finally farm it? Under what circumstance would you agree? Do you ever see a circumstance under which you farm it? Because you're not giving me the vibe that you give two sticks about it. You're just willing to sell it to the highest bidder, and I have a problem with that.
Carol, I need to ask a couple of quick questions. A couple of people have come in the room. Can you do another hand survey for board members? Let's make sure we're not getting into an OMA problem. Can you get another hand?
There weren't any more board members that came in.
Okay, I think it would be good to get hands again.
Teresa,
Let's just be sure.
Tim.
I want us all to
Tim.
agree that there's no
Tim
OMA
Brown.
problem. So how many do you have then, Carol?
5.
Okay. Anyone in the room believe that we have an OMA problem? Jeremy raised the specter that he doesn't want to do anything that would be a problem with OMA. Does anybody in the room think we have an OMA problem? And Jeremy, do you think there's an OMA issue here that would require us to all leave and stop talking?
Not to my knowledge at the present time.
All right. I just want to be clear about that.
What do you think the consequences would be?
Well, maybe somebody else in the gallery can espouse the argument in opposition to farming. There's no reason for any of us to opine tangents that aren't relevant if we don't know what the basis for the opposition is. If we know the basis, then we can have some intelligent give and take about that issue, but I'm not entirely clear of what the other side of the issue is. So if anybody in the gallery or anybody knows what the position is about why it shouldn't be farmed, I'd appreciate somebody giving us a survey of that.
I understand it's hard to argue with someone that won't say what they think.
Well, usually when you start an argument, you want two people who espouse their positions, and then you can have an argument.
The problem is, we farmed it for years and years and years. We had an outside entity come in telling us it was illegal. It was unconstitutional.
That's not what we said.
Said we can't farm it.
What you just said is not what we said.
Okay.
I know what you said.
I just, could somebody,
You won't ever answer anybody in face-to-face. You have to write an article.
Actually, I will. I would love to face-to-face.
We're all here.
No, face-to-face, one-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
At
The thing of it is,
No.
the governor has signed it
Not one-on-one, ever.
proving that it's legal to sign, to farm the farm now. I mean, it's legal to farm it. Anybody who thinks it's illegal has no clue what they're talking about. And as I stated a couple meetings, at the last month's meeting, is when Mr. Fox farmed it 2 years ago, we took that money and put it in our general fund. We used that money. So if it was illegal and unconstitutional to farm it, then we accepted the money and used it. So that means we did something illegal and unconstitutional. Did anybody write anything about that? No. But we can farm it. It's been signed by the governor. There's paper after paper, law after law that says we can farm the farm. 21 other counties do. No one goes, I mean, they've tried to go after a couple of them. They've not stopped anybody.
You going after Ford County, don't act like you didn't, it's in writing. It's all over the internet.
Jake, Jim's talking.
Jeremy, do you know the argument from the other side? We want to be sure to hear it from someone who shares that opinion, just because we don't want it to be misquoted. If you're not someone who shares that opposition opinion, then it's really not fair to say
What I've heard is.
What they think, right? It
They
needs to
don't
come
have
from,
that public purpose.
it needs to come from someone who has that opinion, rather than us or you repeating what you think their opinion is. That's all. Yeah.
Hey, Carol?
Yes. I'm sorry, Teresa.
That's okay.
I was
This
trying to find
is
it.
not on the farm. It's about the committee for the farm. I have been on several committees since I've been on this board. I have never been to a committee meeting where there wasn't a quorum there to have the meeting. Never have I been there that way. I know that you've asked Bobby to put somebody else, put Tim on that committee. I will send Bobby an email tonight as a board member requesting that he put somebody else, preferably Tim, on this committee. But I am going to tell you that I have sent Bobby several emails, and he has never answered me on any of the emails that I have sent him, because I am real concerned about the audit, and I ask for updates on the audit, and I get no response. I'm concerned about the 2022 audit that we've not gotten complete.
It's over a year late now.
It's over a year late now.
But she said it would be done in 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago.
No, it's
We were
not.
told in January we report.
Yeah, so, but anyway, as a member of this board, I will send him an email, and I would ask the other board members sitting here, listening to these people, that they would send the same email requesting that he fill the empty seat on the farm committee, so this committee can have a quorum.
It'd be better if you sent him a text.
Well, I sent him emails and then texted him that I sent him an email, and still didn't get any answer. So,
And I would appreciate that too, if the board members would ask that Tim be put on the committee.
I will do that
Since
this
he
evening.
is a farmer, I mean, he has a lot of knowledge up here in this, under that hat, he has a lot of knowledge up there about farming, and I ask him a lot of questions about stuff, and
Maybe he needs to act like a chairman.
he's,
Maybe he needs to act like a chairman and check his email, respond to questions, and get the facts, instead of just ignoring everybody.
And
November's coming.
If he doesn't have time to check his emails
Needs to step
and his texts, if he doesn't have time to mess with all this, because it is a lot to do, then he should step down simply because he doesn't have the time or doesn't want to take the time.
Carol, I can only assume, since we don't have anybody who's willing to espouse the opposite position, who holds that position, not someone who's just hearsaying their position, then I don't think there must be a controversy apparently about whether to be farmed. That's the only conclusion I think you can draw from a public gathering like this. The second question I would ask is, does anybody know if the issue of farming this season is going to be on the agenda for the Thursday regular board meeting? Do we know, does anybody know if that will be on the agenda? Obviously, the issue of farming or not farming, it's May 6th, and obviously time is a wasting. So I'm just wondering if anybody knows, will that be on the agenda for the Thursday meeting?
I will probably put it on there, and I'll have somebody tell me I don't have the right to do that, but I feel like as the chairman of the committee, I have the right to put anything on the board agenda, and that was part of our discussion for tonight. And since we didn't get to discuss it or vote on it, I'll put it on the agenda.
As a board member, you have the
Yeah.
right to put anything
Yeah.
on the agenda.
Yeah, no, it was in that there.
The last time I did that, I got in trouble
Somebody's requested
Somebody
park
told me
funds on there.
that I didn't have the
And
right.
just so everybody knows, once again, a little rehash, this is just a gathering of people. This is not an official meeting. There was no quorum. We've taken 2 head counts of board members present and determined that there aren't any OMA issues, having too many board members present. And this is just a open discussion. Anybody can come and go as they wish. Jeremy, Carol aren't required to stay here any longer. Nobody is. They have the freedom to go anytime that they want. But if any of you are tired of hearing the opinions or just don't want to listen, you have every right to leave. Nobody is forced to stay here.
Carol,
I
I have
have
a
Chris
question.
first.
Carol, has Mr. Orman ever given you any indication why it is that he will not put Tim Morse, who is a lifetime farmer, right, correct, on the farm committee?
One time, we were waiting for a letter from the Department of Revenue to see if we were going to be tax exempt. That was the reason that we didn't appoint anybody.
That was the reason not to put Tim on the farm committee. Okay.
Jeremy, do you happen to know whether this issue will be on the board agenda? Have you talked to the chairman? Do you happen to know whether that will be on the meeting Thursday?
I have a tentative agenda, so obviously not finalized, but let me take a look at that real quick.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Get the replacement for.
It's tentatively on there that just says board replacement or replacement for farm committee with a question mark. There's no name on there right now because this is just a tentative
I see.
schedule. The real one will be out tomorrow, probably about 4 o'clock. That's
And obviously, the point of that is, whatever the decision would be about farming, it needs to be made on Thursday. And so if that issue specifically, shall we farm the farm for this year 2024, if that's not on the agenda Thursday, that's a serious problem in terms of timing unless you could call a special board meeting, very soon after Thursday to look at that issue. So I'm just curious to see if it's going to be on the agenda as a specific issue as to whether there will be farming in 2024.
I plan to have it
If you put that on the agenda, who makes the final call whether that actually is on the agenda? Is that Bobby
I
or
think
who?
Bobby has, he sends it to Jessica.
Okay.
Jeremy says no.
Who, I mean,
He sends
you
his
requested
agenda
to be put on
Jessica.
there.
Everybody else sends stuff to Jessica.
That's what I'm saying, but who makes the call whether it gets put on that agenda for Thursday or not?
Any board member can put in.
No, I can. She's saying who makes the final.
Like, if she requests that she wants it on there
If there was
Thursday,
Somebody that could say, I don't want that on the agenda and take it off Thursday.
that's what I'm saying. If Carol requests it's on there and then we come in Thursday and it's not on there, why wouldn't it be? Who made that call to not put it on there?
Jeremy just said that would be highly inappropriate.
Okay.
But I know it's happened.
So if you're gonna request that, then we should have it on there on Thursday. If it's not, we'll ask questions why it wasn't if you're.
I will have it on.
So it should be on the agenda plus the option to cash rent to get it started.
Yes.
I think that'd be probably the easiest. We're not out of time, don't anybody misunderstand, it doesn't have any farm family. It's,
I have
we're
three
not out of
things.
time.
I have three things.
Yeah, there's been, I mean, there's people that have fought weather till June. You do it when you can, but we're not out of the woods yet.
Well, that's true, yeah, but
It's-
again, your next regular board meeting is what, June what?
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're getting
But
to
it
the
could
point
be done.
where
It could be
corn is out of the question, obviously, by June, and soybeans are getting to their edge. So I'm just saying, if it's not on Thursday, it better be a special board meeting. You don't want to wait another 4 weeks and still be debating this.
I can tell you that
But choice.
if the board would vote to cash rent, say, then it would have to be put out for bids, and that's 2 weeks in the newspapers. So that takes you to the end of the month, so that there could be a special board meeting. Actually, there would have to be a special board meeting to open up the sealed bids, and then say it's May the 28th. Then the person would be chosen, and then they would start right away. If somebody would say, hey, I'm going to stew, I'm going to farm, and I can do it right now, if that were approved, I'm going to say he could do it the next day.
Isn't he giving us a really good deal?
Yes.
Like no charge,
No charge, seed beans.
and we still don't know if we'll farm it?
Hopefully we know on Thursday something, Jake.
Carol, I think Tricia has a comment.
Yeah, I've got a question. Mr. Williams, is it going to be on Thursday's agenda to try to sell the county farm? Do you have knowledge that that's going on the agenda? Have you heard that's going on the agenda? No?
Is that a no? You're shaking your head, is that a no?
Nobody has told me that they're going to put that on the agenda.
And here's my other question. If that goes on Thursday's agenda, there's no quorum tonight. Now, my concern is, with the no quorum tonight, is that if it goes on the agenda, and we didn't have a farm committee meeting, was it to silence our voices because people are tired of hearing it? And I believe that's what's happening. And I will be very disappointed if I see sale of our farm on Thursday's agenda, because you are stripping the people of a right to a voice. So that needs to, will be very unhappy if I see that, especially after you indicated no. My next question, you were involved in meetings in 2021, or I've heard you were involved in meetings in 2021 that were being conducted illegally. Will you admit to that you were having meetings in a church, and that board members, if they did not vote accordingly, were being intimidated and threatened with retribution? Will you say, did that happen?
No.
Now, if I were to read you a text message from you to a board member, are you still going to have that same answer?
Yes.
You're still going to have that same answer. Okay. If you don't like Martha, that's fine. I don't always agree with her either. But you can't use your personal feelings to disenfranchise 2,000 people in another district. That's unprofessional. A lot of people worked very hard for you. You wouldn't have gotten where you are without that help. That help came from Martha and Erica and others. There is going to be retribution for your actions, and the only way to avoid that is to resign. Now, was that from your phone to a board member's phone? Yes or no?
That does sound like something I sent, yes.
It sounds like something you said. Okay.
So you're admitting to threatening another board member with retribution.
Did you just say?
You just
Yeah.
did, Jeremy. You just admitted to it.
What's retribution mean?
Now, here's my question, Jeremy. That is wrong, it's not right, and you should not be sitting on this board threatening people in that manner. That is not showing honor or integrity, which the Republican Party has listed on their website. That shows none. No honor, no integrity. Absolutely zero. You may disagree with people all day long, but when you start threatening people, and my other question is, I have been told point blank that you threatened a current board member that if they voted to farm, they would be, a lawsuit would hit them. Is that correct or incorrect?
I do not recall that, no.
You never told a board member that if they farm the farm, that they could be sued? That if they vote to farm the farm, they could be sued?
Could be. Yes.
Yeah, so you've said that to a board member.
Could be, yes, will be, I have no idea if they will be or not.
What is wrong? What has happened to our Republican Party in our county?
So you told, wait, back up.
Teresa, can
He
you read
told
that
somebody
text
if
over
they,
again?
on the current board, if they vote yes to vote, they could be sued,
It's not the first
That
time.
they could be. He didn't say they would be,
but they could
but
be.
they could be, which is still a very intimidating statement.
So anybody on this board that chooses yes to vote yes for the farm, could potentially be sued.
That's the story they're telling you.
That's the story.
And how many have you said that to? We know about one for sure. How many people have you told that to, Mr.
Interesting.
Williams?
That's interesting.
I think I actually said that in public comment in a meeting.
March 2021 you did.
No, but I'm talking about this current board. I'm aware of a current board that you spoke that same thing to. I want to know on this current board, how many did you tell that they could be sued?
I don't know.
But you know that there's some.
Well, they could be.
For voting?
Because they vote
Oh,
yes.
yes.
They're not entitled to vote yes or no based on what their constituents desire.
That's your way
It's
of
your
telling them they better
job.
vote no.
It's your job to send text messages to them, to tell them how to do things. That
Could I-
seems right to you.
Could I speak up here?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a board member, and me and Jeremy have had lots of conversations about the farm. I believe we should continue to farm the farm. I am against selling the farm.
Perfect.
I've made that clear to my friend Jeremy. I've never felt any sense of intimidation or threats, or he's trying to be persuasive, of course, but I've never felt threatened or intimidated.
Did you hear the text message that I read that he sent to a board member?
Would you read
About
that
budget?
again, please?
I understand
I
you
think
have
he's
it.
saying that it's possible, due to, in his opinion, it being unconstitutional, that maybe a board member could be sued for voting to farm, to farm the farm.
I understand what you're saying, but after reading this text message that he threatened retribution, I'm having a hard
Retribution
time.
is not a good word.
It's
Can
not.
you read that?
Let me ask this question.
Wait a minute,
Hey,
guys.
let me make one more announcement, just from this legal standpoint. Again, a reminder, there has been no quorum for a committee meeting. The chairman of the committee has indicated no quorum, therefore no business can be conducted, no decisions can be made, no agenda items can be determined. This is simply a gathering of people, of voters, who wish to be heard, and any of the board members who are here, including Jeremy, have the freedom to walk out at any time. Any of you have the freedom to walk out at any time. I'm going to leave because there doesn't appear to be anybody willing to espouse the opposition position, and so there really isn't any reason to have a conversation or a discussion or a debate unless and until someone who holds that opposition position lays out for us what their opposition is. And so it's not enough to have someone repeat what they think those people's position is. That's not sufficient. There's nothing more to be gained by a conversation here on the issue of farming or no farming, since the opposition has not established their position and has not shown any willingness to respond to any of your concerns. I think you've made it clear what your concerns are. Those of you who are present have made it clear what your concerns are, what your positions are. But as you can tell, there hasn't been a single person yet to stand up in opposition to your position. And without there being two opposing positions, there really isn't anything to be gained at this point. I think you've made your points very clear to those who might be in the opposition, but who have not been identified as such here tonight. I think you achieved that. So I want to make it clear again, no quorum present. There's no OMA issue because there are only 5 board members present. Therefore, we don't have an OMA concern. And Jeremy, Carol, and any other board member who's here has the freedom to walk out without any consequence, without any need to explain. They have the ability to walk out anytime they want and not listen to any further comment from the members of the public that are present. I think it's important to do that. And I'm going to go only, no offense to anyone, but there really isn't a reason for an attorney to sit here. If we don't have
Questions the attorney can answer.
If we don't have an opposition to debate, there's no point in debating.
But I do have a question an attorney can answer. I'm sorry, I came in late, you've already covered this. But what is the appropriate procedure by law to determine constitutionality?
There is an answer to that question, and it's black and white, but the problem still remains. We do not know today, at this moment, in this room, from these people, whether anybody is in opposition to farming. We don't have any, there's no indication from anyone that they are in opposition. So I would be speculating, giving a hypothetical, potentially stirring up discussions that don't need to be had. So it's a fair question. At some point, it'll be answered, black and white. But again, at this moment, in this room, from this group, there is no one speaking up in opposition. So there's no purpose to be served by engaging in hypotheticals. The opposition needs to tell us if they wish to have a continued discussion. The opposition, if any, needs to tell us what is the basis for your position today. Over time, it may have been different things, but what is the position today? And there is no one in the room espousing it, so I won't engage in the hypothetical answer. No offense to you, but there's no point in doing
And we could
that.
hash this over.
I'm going to leave unless someone thinks they need to ask me something. I'm going to.
Carol is here.
But it's not going to solve any problems tonight, as far as I can see.
I have a question.
Okay, please.
I didn't hear the entire text that Tish read. Could you read that again, please? Because I didn't hear it.
You want me to reread that?
Would you please, for
Okay.
those who didn't hear it?
Just a minute.
Maybe she could just share it with you. I appreciate everybody coming tonight.
Here's the text. If you don't like Martha, that's fine. I don't always agree with her either. But you can't use your personal feelings to disfranchise 2,000 people in another district. That's unprofessional. A lot of people worked very hard for you. You wouldn't have gotten where you are without that help. That help came from Martha and Erica and others. There's going to be retribution for your actions, and the only way to avoid that is to resign. Now, I have come to meeting after meeting about humanity. The only reason I walked through this door is because of some terrible things that happened to my family. I don't care if you believe it or not believe it. My mom and dad sat right in this room. They wouldn't have walked through that door had they not lived it. And there's no need for that. This isn't Washington, D.C. politics. We're small town communities. We know who our neighbors are. We know who people are.
That's right.
And you're trying to convince us that everybody is corrupt. I'm not going to say that there aren't some people that maybe make bad decisions. Maybe there are people that don't know what the law is. That's totally possible. But you're wanting to try to convince us of people we've known forever are corrupt, that our police are corrupt, that judges are corrupt, that all kinds of people are corrupt. Unless they're agreeing with you, then they're great. No. That's a national strategy, and I'm going to tell you why it doesn't work locally. Nationally, people don't know about each other. Locally, we know each other. We care. We care about people. You know, to be honest with you, when I decided to run for county board, I was terrified for my family. And we prayed before I did it. Prayed. And I asked my parents, can we live through this again? Can we live through this again? And I didn't want to see anybody ever go through what happened in my hometown. And then I started watching all the hostility here. And the anger. For what? For what? For what agenda? For what purpose? Because we think we're all bad people? You think I want all my representatives? Do you think I mean, I've read Facebook posts that say we're all for corruption. I'm not for corruption at all. None of us are. But you're trying to convince us that somebody wheeling in 3 minutes too late, they should be thrown in the slammer, for God's sakes, writing articles that ruin the rest of their life. And you may think, oh, how's that ruin the rest of your life? Let me tell you, it does. It leaves scars for many years to come on some of these people. And unless it's happened to you, you don't know. And I feel bad for a lot of these courthouse employees, for our animal control. I feel bad for them. And what breaks my heart is I don't see 1 ounce of compassion or remorse. And that scares the pants off of me, and it should scare the pants off of everyone in this county. Because we don't want people to have zero compassion running our county. Because good leaders have compassion. And I see, oh, the world crumbled when feelings came into the situation. No. You know whose mentality that is? Dictators. And we're not a dictatorship. We're a constitutional republic if we could keep it. And I'm here trying to keep it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
Jeremy, I've been around a long time. I've never seen a board member sued for voting. I don't think that's happened anywhere in Illinois.
I have a question for Tim. Did you say you are against selling the farm?
Yes.
And you're for farming the farm?
Yes.
Do you worry that if you were to vote yes, that you would be sued?
No.
Okay.
How would you
But
feel?
at the time when it was unconstitutional, and they were voting
It's never been
for, 2 years ago, or
Yeah.
whatever, I can understand where he could possibly say, there will be retribution.
But as in
But
today,
as of now, no.
there's
But
no,
whenever that was read,
Yeah.
from before, it might have been different circumstances, and I'm new to it.
well, I'm just asking because he's a current board
Yeah.
member, and I'm just curious if he was worried or where Jeremy would have come up with that as board members, those that were to vote yes, if they were worried
I'm,
that could potentially happen.
I was trying to revert back to what she said.
Yeah,
about,
I get it.
before, and if at
Yeah.
that time, maybe they could have been.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you ever heard of anyone being sued for voting on a county board?
Jake,
no.
Ever?
Jake,
Of course not. No one's going to be sued for that.
Jake.
I have one more comment about the agenda. You can say that any board member can have something put on the agenda. I can tell you that's not true, because I've requested things and they've never been put on there. And I've requested it, and it was taken off. It was on there and it was taken off. So, that being said, I'm going to tell you that it is the chair's position to go through that agenda, and he doesn't have to address everything that's on that agenda. He can skip things because we've seen it happen. So, you can say what you say, but I can tell you that with me, I've requested things that have not been on there. I've requested things that were put on there and then taken off.
So who makes that call?
I don't
You
know.
request to put it on there and they just don't, like who made that
I don't
final
know.
decision to not put it on there, and who made the final decision
I don't
to
know.
have it removed? I mean, you said it goes to Jessica, and I understand that, but then who does it go to after that? To choose
I don't know.
to add it or not add it, or remove items that.
I don't know, Belina. I don't know.
Okay.
I have a question. Why does he have part of the agenda and do you have it? Do you
No,
have it?
if you've seen an agenda for Thursday
It's been
night,
sent to the board members, a tentative agenda.
I didn't get it.
Yeah,
You didn't get it?
yes,
No.
you should have, last
Did you get one, Tim?
Friday.
Have you seen the agenda for Thursday?
Yes,
It's not,
we've
it's a
been getting,
tentative agenda where she just has general things on there like,
we've been getting
Tim didn't get one.
tentative agendas, Teresa,
I haven't.
to all the board members.
Tim
I
didn't get
haven't.
it.
To
Teresa, you
your
didn't get
I
it.
have.
county board email,
Yeah, I do.
have you checked it?
Yeah, every day.
More than Bobby Orman.
Tim's checking his now.
Well,
That's not right.
if I had my laptop, I could check and see
we're looking right now,
if
Tim.
you're being
Well,
sent it.
somebody send it to Teresa.
Maybe it was,
Selected.
Not the text.
because it says 10 on there, tentative agenda.
I believe it was sent to committee
Oh,
chairs.
committee chairs.
All right.
Okay.
You're not-
So it was sent to Bobby and Mark and Tim, because he's chair of the
So you
highway.
didn't get it.
Me.
What's saying? And it's true, you didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
You
Okay.
didn't get it. I thought it. I looked
Good
at
enough.
it and thought everybody got it, but it was just,
Do you just have to be a committee chair though to put something on the agenda?
no.
So actually that probably, and this is, who sends it out doesn't really matter, but wouldn't it be more efficient to send it to everybody on the board and say, is there anything we forgot? Anything we need to address? I mean, I would think that,
Well, it usually goes through committee, so, I mean, I can see why Jessica just sent it.
But they started sending all the committee
And this is the
agendas
first time.
to everybody on the board. So it would make sense if they've got something out there that they can send it to everybody.
That way, if somebody forgets something and says, oh crap, hey, we forgot to do this, then you can, you know,
This
put
is
it
the
on
first
there.
time I've ever done this individually, so. Okay.
Jeremy, why'd you propose selling the farm back in September? Bennett's done it once, you've done it once, why'd you do it? Still your position?
What's that, sir?
Still your position?
I'm not gonna get involved in that discussion,
No.
Chris.
You got your answer.
We hope that you would all come to the meeting on Thursday night.
You betcha.
Carol, I think
Oh,
to answer Tom's question, or try to, you know, he kept asking what is the opposition's position. I think it's a moving target. I think it's been a moving target for 2 or 3 years. I think the conclusion's been reached that we shouldn't farm, and we're gonna, the target is this reason, that reason, this reason. I think there's a political philosophy that people are using to supersede their voting, to supersede the law, and I think it's held our county hostage. And a political philosophy should not be, the law is the law, whether you agree with it or not. I think the law's clear. I think our county, our constituents, our voters, our taxpayers would benefit greatly from farming that farm. I think the county as a whole supports farming the farm. I think we're being held hostage by a political philosophy that is a moving target. We use a moving target to not farm the farm. It's my opinion of Tom's question. There's been a lot of discussion that you may be sued if you vote to farm the farm, has been said in the past, which is just a bunch of hogwash. And I will tell you one thing, those who vote to sell the farm or not farm the farm, this county won't forget. This county will not forget those people. That is our farm, it needs to be farmed, the money needs to be used for our people. End of story. It's not unconstitutional, it's not illegal.
Sandy, you got here late. We didn't have a meeting. We didn't have a quorum.
Okay.
And so this has just been
This is
people
public
talking.
body.
It's just
No, this
been-
is just a talk, just a discussion. Just
Okay.
was everybody talking?
Okay,
No meeting.
I think if there's a big to-do about not farming or farming, we need to put it on the ballot for the
That's what I
people
think.
to vote on.
Just like the Chautauqua.
Just, you know, when they were trying to get the Chautauqua on there, you didn't dare say anything to the people.
I fought for that vote.
Because 6 said no and 6 said yes, the best thing to do is do that vote. It'd be a lot of work, but, hey, we've seen work before.
Yeah,
And,
it works.
because that's who the farm belongs to.
Just flat out ignore me.
I think we're done, and I appreciate